Hey Vinyl community, is Jason. It is Friday evening. Yeah, I thought I had some free time. Thought I'd do a video. Tone Scott is doing a vinyl thread, 7 records that you have never seen shown on the in the vinyl community. If you don't know Tone Scott, he does. I mean, he's a musician himself. He's got like a very diverse record collection. I mean, he just has a really good ear, yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool idea. And I usually do videos showing like new records I bought, and I don't do videos that much because I've been buying less records, I guess. So it's just a good excuse, and plus to like dig through. Now I'm listening to records that I haven't listened to in a while, which is nice. You know, trying to think about stuff that I wanted to play for this video. So yeah, if you don't know Tone Scott, check him out. Super cool guy. He actually lives pretty close to me. We went digging once down here before the pandemic, and I'm hoping that that we can meet up again. And he lives up in LA, Los Angeles, which is like it's got some amazing record stores, and he like knows all the record stores. So definitely hoping for a tour once all this stuff goes over. But yeah, I thought I'd jump in, and he taunted me a little bit. And he flattered me to death. So he said like, you got so many good records that. No, I'm just kidding. I tease. Tone's a good guy. Yeah, check out his channel, and if you want to do the thread, do the thread. So I cheated a little bit, Tone. So I apologize for that. But so I did. Well, for me, it's a little easier because I show a lot of Brazilian records that I don't think people show on the vinyl community, at least that I've seen. I mean, if somebody knows, like someone who's just showing like a ton of Brazilian records, just let me know. I would love to watch that. Like, be like my heaven, I see people show Brazilian records, but just not as much as I do. And I've seen some Brazilian VC channels, but this is really not the kind of Brazilian music I'm liking. Actually, a lot of Brazilian channels, they show a lot of like American music and stuff, and I'm looking for more like Brazilian stuff. So I'm gonna try to show. I believe I'm gonna show 7 records I haven't shown before, because I don't want to show records I've shown. So make it a little more difficult on myself. So I chose 7 records. Well, I would say 6 non-Brazilian records, 1 Brazilian record, which we're listening to, and then actually did a bonus 3 like newer artists that I know I bought before I started doing videos that are just nobody's gonna have for sure. Actually, well, one I just bought, but so it's kind of a bonus. But anyway, so this is what we're listening to before I. This is the first of the 7. Victor Assis Brazil Esperanto. This is Robert Quarantine. I don't know how you say it. Produced. So he had a label. I can't remember what it was called. But anyways, it was a really small label, and they only had like a few presses, 4 or 5 presses. And Mr. Bongo did all of them. It has Victor Assis. This is his like 3rd or 4th album. But I believe his 2nd album, where he covered some Tom Jobim. He covered a Tom Jobim album. And that was pressed, I think it was Quarantine Records, it must have been. So like that stuff, those originals are like really expensive, and I think it was Mr. Bongo, some UK label, I think it was Mr. Bongo. So they redid a lot of those. I think it's Paulo Moro, the Piri Piri. Anyways, and then he has got another one that's, I think he did like early 60s. It's really good too. But it's more like traditional jazz. This is a little bit. I think this is early 70s. It doesn't say. This is the original on tape card. I'll show you the label it is playing. Yeah, see, I cleaned this on July 2018, and I know I started doing videos after that, so I'm pretty sure I didn't show this. I've wanted this one. I wanted that at the time. I had been looking at this one for at least like a year. And this is a record you could probably. This is one of. I mean, the first 2 are really expensive. This one is a little bit cheaper. You probably for like $50 maybe. I mean, I haven't looked in a while. Maybe it's more now, but I found it. I was waiting like a year, and I finally found one from. I think it was a U.S. seller for like pretty cheap, like $20. I mean, $25. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, and it's got Dom Salvador on the piano, who's really good, classic Brazilian pianist. Obviously, Victor Assis Brazil. So Edison Machado's drums. I mean, I've heard of these people, but probably a lot of people haven't. But anyways, this thing is awesome. I mean, he Victor Assis Brazil. He kind of looked up to Coltrane, you know. So his at least this album is a little bit more kind of like a little more avant-garde, a little bit. I mean, it's kind of like fusion-y. It's not like super avant-garde, but yeah, it's just kind of, you know, obviously a little bit off not the smooth jazz or whatever. But yeah, love it. So this is my first of my 7. Victor Assis Brazil Esperanto, highly recommend. I think his first 3 albums, so the 2 before and this one, are just all so amazing. But this is like the most energetic of the 3, which is maybe why I like it more. So, and then, I mean, my little helper here, I can't forget, Corona. It's Corona. We drink a lot of Corona here. I don't know. It's just an easy drinking beer. And actually, when coronavirus started, so I worked for, like, in the investment department at my company, and the analyst said that whoever owns Corona, I can't remember, they were going to stop doing Coronas because coronavirus, and it was like associated with like a bad name. So I was like buying a ton of Corona, thinking like, oh, I'm never going to be able to drink this again. And whatever, they changed their mind, and now it never happened. I think it was just it was like a gimmick to get people to buy more Corona, and it worked because I bought more. Anyways, I digress. So number 2, this is an album that, I mean, Kenny Burrell, Asphalt Canyon Suite, and this is the original on Verve. And I mean, everybody knows, I mean, not everybody, but you know, people who like jazz know Kenny Burrell. But I've never seen anybody show like later Kenny Burrell, and this isn't like super late. This doesn't say on here, but I want to say this is like early 70s, early to mid 70s. I think it's early 70s. But I've seen, like, you know, a lot of like the earlier Kenny Burrell, which is really good. And I love Kenny Burrell. I think he's an amazing guitar player. But this album, for me, this is like really special album, and I cleaned this one on April 2018. Because when I first started collecting, I wasn't really like into jazz that much, and it wasn't until I started collecting records I've heard a few jazz records, and I thought I didn't hate it for sure, but I just did, you know, it wasn't something I was like kind of into punk at the time and classic rock, and you know, I just didn't really seek it out. But I heard this, I remember, and I bought this in a collection, like one of the first collections I bought. I bought a couple really big collections of being like over 1,000. Next one I bought like over 2,000. Like I got a ton of my collection from that, and I remember listening to this one. I was like, oh my god, like, you know, I didn't know Kenny Burrell at the time, so I was just like, Jesus, like, I don't know, I was just blew me away, especially side A. And I played this when I was played at my friend's art shows a couple times. I've only played records a few times at my friend's art show, and I remember playing side 1, which is 2 movements, and the second part of the second movement, I put that on. People were like, "Whoa, what is that?" It's just this like bluesy, groovy, like, man, it's so good. But the whole first side is good, but it has slow, but then at the end it gets like kind of bluesy and funky, but like super groovy. Side A. Side 2 is good too, but man, I've never seen anyone showing this, and I just flipping through the records, and I'm just like, man, I remember that record. And I still, I haven't obviously played it at my friend's show, it's like, God, it was 2019, May, it was the last time. Jesus, almost 2 years. I definitely played that song. So this is the next one. This is Nolan Porter. This is No Apologies, and this is the white label promo on Lizard. This is really good. This is it's like it's soul, but I want to say it's like country soul, but it has a little bit of kind of like rock soul to it. It's the guitar. I can't remember Lil Howard. I can't remember his name right now. But it's the guy from, I think he's from Little Feat. And he's everything that I've heard that he was on, like Robert Palmer, I almost pulled that album too. Robert Palmer of Sneaking Sally Through the Alley. He plays, and I think he produces in like, I don't know if he produces or not, but he definitely plays guitar, kind of like writes some of the stuff, might produce, and everything I've heard him kind of involved with in that kind of time frame, like the early 70s, mid 70s, it was really good. So, and this is no exception. He actually, Nolan Porter's got his first two albums are pretty sought after, I would say, but his second one's really sought after. But this is the first one where I actually enjoy a little bit more. It has that kind of like more like country soul tinge to it. It's really good though. It's so good. Yeah, and I just saw this. I was flipping through. Maybe I didn't clean it. I didn't put a sticker on it. I don't think I've shown this, but if I have, then that's why I have my 3 bonus at the end. So yeah, Nolan Porter, no apologies. This is one I just, and I cleaned this one on 6/18, so this is probably before I did videos. This is Sugar Pie DeSanto, Hello San Francisco. This is a compilation. I don't know if she ever put out any albums, any LPs. So this is like a compilation, a collection of like some 45 she put out. But so it's kind of all over the place. But I bought it. There's a couple really bangers actually, and I ended up buying 45 for my jukebox. And I love it. I love it. It's so good. Get Back. Gitback. Man, that song is so good. And yeah, there's a couple really good bangers. I mean, I would say her earlier stuff is better. So the stuff from like it must have been like early 70s is like really good. And then they have some later stuff like maybe into the 80s. I don't know when this came out, but it's all good. And yeah, she did some stuff with like Etta James where they were singing like, I think it's called Down in the Basement. I don't know. Actually, I should look. Maybe Etta James did an album, but it was under Etta James that has Sugar Pie DeSanto. But she's got a voice and she was tiny, but she could belt with Etta James. I mean, Etta James is obviously like one of the classics. So yeah, but this is on Jasmine Records. This is cool. I mean, I haven't listened to this in a while, and I'm gonna actually throw it on maybe this weekend. But yeah, it's a little incoherent just because of it's like a huge, 10, 15 year time frame. So, the styles change a lot, but which is kind of why I'm not really a comp guy. I just like, the vibe that was going on at the time, of an album. That was the concept. So compilations, especially when you start to throw different, eras of the same artist or a lot of different artists, and you get it doesn't feel coherent to me. But I have a handful of comps. They're really good. So I mean I'm not like generalizing that's everything, but for me that's like the most case. But there's a couple really good songs. And it was more for when if I go play, and last time I did play at my friends, I brought that and I played a couple songs off it and killed it. So. Anyways, I'm rambling. This is Solar Plexus, and this is, I guess, self-titled. I can't remember the name of the artist. Randy, I don't know, but there's a musician, and this is like a sort of like semi-private press, like really small press from let's say the late 70s. Century Records, Evidence Music, Century Records. And I remember buying this, and I was at a garage sale. I cleaned this one on October 2017, so this is way before I was doing Final Community Records. Let me flip that. Some more Victor Assis Brazil. So this is, yes, I remember buying this at a garage sale, and I was like, they were, I remember I got there sort of on time. It was like kind of an early one. It was like, it must have been 7, and I got there like 5 to 7, and there was like 10 people, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so late, I'm not gonna get anything. But there was a guy just like looking for, he did pull some like Curtis Mayfield, and I was like, but yeah, he was like arguing over ABBA albums, like trying to get them down from like $3 to $1 or something. I was just like pulling out like, yeah, like Herbie Hancock, all these jazz records, like I remember I got an Andrew Hill, like, original Blue Note. That's when I think I got my Walter Bishop, a Black Jazz. I was just like, yeah, just pulling all this. I didn't know, like, much about jazz at the time. But I was starting to get into it. I knew Blue Note, I knew Prestige, I knew Impulse, so stuff like that I was grabbing. I grabbed a couple, but I grabbed this one. I did just the cover. I was like, holy crap. And I asked, I kind of had my stack, and I was just talking. I was trying to be nice, just talk to the people who were having the sale, and I was like, oh man, this is such a cool cover. Like, what? Like, oh yeah, it's like a Brazilian. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sold. Like, I'll take it. It's like $3 for that. But it's really good. It's like a groovy. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, just very very like soul jazz, but not like Jimmy Smith soul jazz. Just really good, kind of like soul jazz fusion-ish. Yeah, amazing record, and there's some bangers. I would say probably at least 2 songs on here are just like, I think Solar Plexus, the self-titled, and it might be The Serpent Speaks. There's a couple YouTube. You go on YouTube, you check this out. There's a couple tracks. There might be the whole album now. I mean, I haven't tried in a while, but yeah, the whole album's amazing though. So Solar Plexus, I mean, I've never seen it. I've tried to find one I tried to buy it on eBay before just because I thought nobody knew it, so I could find it for cheap. But people do. I mean, it doesn't go for that much, but people bid it up to like $40. I got mine for $3. I was trying to get one for like 10 or something. But, so yeah, I'm not sure if I've shown this. I don't have a clean sticker on or not, but this is Tony Scott Maniteka. This is on Sonnet. This is a Swedish only release. Tony Scott from like the Tone Scott. I just got that right. So Tony Scott from the all like he's got that one Zen, like the purple one you find like in thrift stores everywhere. He's got some like he had some stuff back in the must have been the 50s where he's a clarinet player, like really good, but it's kind of that stuff I wasn't really that 50s music I'm not really into, but so he kind of went spiritual, and then he moved to Europe, and he did this album, and he's got a couple really good albums, for sure, but this is he's got one where he did with these guys from Indonesia, I think, and that one's pretty sought after, and it's really good, too. I would put it kind of up here with this, like, those are, like, my 2 favorite, but that one is, like, hundreds of dollars, and this one actually is not that expensive, so, yeah, this one's a banger. This is so good. It's, like, got like a lot of really cool percussion, and he just goes off on the clarinet. He like scats in the beginning. He just the whole thing's just like high intensity fire. I love it, and I don't think I've ever seen this shown. I might have shown it myself, but I've never seen it. And this thing, I remember I was looking for this for a while. And it's like I said, it's not the most expensive record, but like you pay like $40, and then you got to pay shipping from Sweden. Another like $20-$25. So I mean, it gets pricey, and I ended up getting one for like 40 something all in. I was like, so save $20. I mean, that was like 4 years ago. Now I'm like, what's $20? But yeah, man, this thing is a banger. It's so good. The cover's cool. I mean, just kids dancing around him, jamming on the clarinet. So good. Highly recommended. This is I think this is my 7 of my 7, legitimate 7 out of 7. This is Hans Dolfer Candy Clouds. This is the original on Catfish, and I cleaned this on January 18th, so I'm pretty sure I did not show this one. So this is the original on Catfish. This is Dutch pressing. I bought this in Rotterdam right before I went to Amsterdam. So before I went to Holland, I might have shown this. I don't know. Maybe I have. But right before I went to Holland, I listened to a bunch of Dutch music, trying to find out like what records do I want to buy. That was like my first trip where I actually went to record stores when I was traveling, and I was like, I want to buy some Dutch records, and I 2 Hans Dolfers, and there was one other band. I ended up buying it later after I got back, but so this is Hans Dolfer Ritmo Natural, which is it's kind of like Latin percussion. Hans Dolfer is a sax player, so he kind of plays kind of like what we're listening to now, like kind of like groovy, free kind of stuff. But this band also had the percussion from Grupo 1850, which was like a Dutch psychedelic band. So it kind of had that kind of like a little bit of a psychedelic tinge to it too on the rhythm section. I know it was the drummer. I think it was the bassist too. But yeah, this record's awesome. And this is one of those records I bought this in 2000, must have been 2017. And it like really hasn't increased in value at all, which is interesting because like a lot of records have just shot up in the last year, even last 2 years. So that's interesting. So I mean, maybe that gives me more reason to say like no one's ever shown it, because people are talking about it. Desirable probably goes up in value, but it hasn't. And there's some spiritual comps. I can't remember. I remember seeing the covers. It's like kind of like, let's say like silhouettes, but like people reaching up in the sky, kind of those kind of like 80s like figure people kind of style. And I know one of the songs is on there from here. I think that's probably where I discovered it, and I was like, wow. And I heard that, and I seeked out a couple other songs on the YouTube, and I just like, I had to have it, and this thing's a banger. Hans Dulfer and Richmond Natural, Candy Clouds, bought it in Rotterdam, so good. So this is my 3 bonus records. This is Thiago Franza, Malagueta, Perus y Bacananzo. And this is on my favorite label, Goma Gringa. And I remember buying this one from the label way back when I first started buying Brazilian records from Brazil. The first one I bought was Georgia Bain. I really wanted Georgia Bain, Africa Brazil. I mean, that is like my favorite Brazilian record of all time. And when I started collecting, early when I was collecting records, I was like, I gotta buy it. I mean, if I'm gonna have a Brazilian record, it has to be that one, because it is the best. It's that album is a banger. So when I bought it though, it was a repress. So I bought it from a store. I found a store on Discogs that had it. So I just started, shipping's expensive. Do you have any other recommendations, like newer Brazilian music? I don't know much newer Brazilian music. So the guy just sent me some recommendations, whatever. So I bought a few things and started listening to newer Brazilian music, and I ended up on Thiago Franza and Goma Gringa actually. Actually, Meta was the one that sucked me in, and Thiago Franza's one of the 3 main players of Meta. But this is his first solo album that was pressed on vinyl, and actually, the one he did after I like a lot more, but I know that I just showed it on my vinyl tag, so I went with this one. It's really good too, but it's this is like more like samba, like jazzy samba. There's some songs written by other musicians. Kiko Danucci, Romulo Flores, Rodrigo Campos, so they have that more of a like indie, like there's a like samba meta samba sujo kind of vibe, so less jazzy, more like darker rock samba, I guess, if you'd call it. So I mean, I like the other one because after that he does way just straight jazz, but this one's really good too, and this one's pretty hard to find now. I don't know, 250, 300 copies, I'm not sure, but it's impossible to find. I've never shown it. I'm pretty sure no one's ever shown it. It's really good. I really enjoy it. So that's my first of my bonus 3. The second one I want to show, this is Instituto. I don't even know what label this is on, but I wanted to show this because this is like when I told the story about the Georgia Bain, I think this is the one I bought with the Georgia Bain, where he just started recommending stuff. I started looking at his website, what he had. I started sampling things, and this is I came across this and I really liked it. It's like Instituto. They kind of remind me of like Thievery Corporation a little bit, but more like hip hoppy. But there is some of that stuff that's kind of more like kind of like it's like band, but like DJ kind of vibe. But then there are also some stuff with kind of like hip hop stuff, and this is all, like I say, it's like Thievery because every song has like a guest singer. You know, I mean, it's like the musicians are the same, but there's like different singers. So this has it says Sabotage, which I don't know that much. Nasal Zumbi, Criollo, which I love. Ben Legal, which is kind of a rapper. Tulipa Ruiz is kind of like a indie. Kuramin, I love. Tony Allen from he's a drummer from Fela Kuti, and Meta Meta, which Meta. So when I heard the song with Meta Meta, and that's when I really discovered Meta Meta, and that's when I just started listening to tons of Brazilian. And the Meta Meta, Thiago Franza, the record I just showed, he's in Meta Meta, and Kiko Danucci started doing Passo Torto. Rodrigo, I just got. So this was kind of like the seed, you know. I liked it. I want to get that one because the shipping from Brazil so much. So I bought like 2 or 3 records at a time, and I listened to this, and this was kind of like the seed of where I started listening to like a ton of contemporary music in Brazil. And I just looked, and this has only been pressed on LP. It hasn't been pressed on CD. It hasn't been repressed. So I'm pretty sure there's not that many, and I've never seen it, obviously. This was released in like 15, and this Thiago Franza I think was released in around that time, 16. So this led me to that, and actually this had been released for like a while, and there were still copies from the label. I bought it from the label. Now it's sold out and expensive and whatever. So my last record. So I just got this in the mail actually. And I just want to show it because I know no one's going to show this ever on Vinyl Community. I never say never, but this is Bufo Borealis, and I haven't even opened this. It's still sealed. 71 of 100. So they only made 300 copies, 100 black, 100 clear, and 100 green. So I bought a clear one. And then I recently found a green one, so I'm from the label actually. So if you want to buy this record, the label still has some. I bought it off Instagram on the label. So there's only 300 copies, but the green one has an art print in it, so it has a little bit extra than the other two. So that's why I didn't open the clear, and I'm actually gonna give this to my friend who also really enjoyed it. And then I'll keep the green for myself. But this is our 2020 release from Brazil, and it's like psychedelic soul jazz sort of like kind of like has a little bit of like a hard rock. I kind of said it was like a groovier Omar Rodriguez Lopez. So it has that kind of like dark Mars Volta, like kind of like electric guitar, like slow electric guitar, and sometimes not as like fast as like Mars Volta or Rodriguez Lopez, but it has that like dark kind of thing and like a little more organ. But sometimes it kind of sounds like Pink Floyd a little bit, like the psychedelic, like the very like easy listening, like melodic psychedelic kind of Pink Floyd stuff. At times, I would say it's more of the other stuff, but. This is a really good, really amazing record. Another amazing 2020 release. So yeah, this is like my end of my bonus. Like yeah, I highly recommend this. Check it out if you like it. You can still get it from the label. And I mean the shipping is not cheap, which is kind of like me and my friend actually doubled up. So kind of split the shipping, but. If you do something like that, I highly recommend getting these before. If this was released in Europe or UK or something, this would be on its 3rd press already, and the original would be like over $100. But you can still buy this from the label for, I think I ended up getting, it was like $20 something plus shipping is where it gets you, but from Brazil. But yeah, definitely check this out. Bufo Borealis, Pupilas Horizontais. So yeah, check that out. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed, and Jesus went on much longer than I anticipated. But yeah, you guys have a wonderful Easter, and yeah, Tone, you're the man.